Hello everyone, I'm Malcolm from A1 Australia Education Group, one of Australia's topmost PTE, IELTS and NAATI coaching institutes. Well, since yesterday there has been a lot of excitement that PTE could be updating its test format, and a lot of people were very curious as to what these changes could be. So we have understood what PTE has proposed now, and there will be a few changes in the pattern of the test very soon, starting in the next couple of months. So I will not waste any more time, and I will take you one by one with the proposed changes and how you should accept those changes. Well, the first thing which we need to understand is what exactly are these changes? So as you can see on my screen, these are the changes which mainly apply to the duration of the test, the score reports, and the preparation resources. And very clearly, as it's mentioned on my slide, what isn't changing is basically the type of questions which come in the exam, and obviously the reliability and the validity of the scores, which means that earlier the total duration of the test was approximately 150 to 180 minutes. That's approximately 2.5 to 3 hours. And now this duration is getting significantly lesser. That's the first main change. The second thing is, earlier as well, there were 20 tasks. Still, there will be 20 tasks in the exam. There is no change in the number of tasks. Thirdly, even earlier and even in the future, the PTE score was valid for 2 years for all purposes related to your academic visas, and for 3 years for your permanent residency visas. That still applies. Even earlier, you could send your PTE scorecard to as many universities you wished for your admission to any course. That still applies. So basically, the main thing which has changed is the duration of the test, which has become much lesser compared to what it used to be. And this is a proposed change which will come into effect very soon. Well, moving on to the next slide. The test timing changes. That's the main thing which has changed. And now the overall test time has reduced to approximately 2 hours. That's around 120 minutes, start to end. Well, you can see there are still the main 3 parts, which will come after the introduction. The personal introduction is of approximately 1 minute. It is not scored. There is no change in that. You can just give a basic introduction about yourself, like your name, from where you're from, and why you're taking the test. Keep it very brief of about 30 seconds. And the main purpose of the introduction is so that you feel confident about yourself, about your own voice. You get used to the environment around you. That's the main purpose of the introduction. Well, part 1 is always speaking and writing. Now, earlier, it used to be of approximately 77 to 93 minutes. And now, it's going to be approximately of 54 to 67 minutes, which means it has reduced by approximately 20 to 30 minutes, roughly speaking. Well, that's a good thing, because the longer the initial part of the test, the more exhausting it can be, because you'll be speaking non-stop, and there'll be a lot of people around you who also speak at the same time. So actually, this is a good, welcome change. The shorter the duration, the more you can concentrate on tasks which come later, and on the reading and the listening sections which come later in the exam. Coming to part 2. Part 2 is the reading module. That used to be a timer of 32 to 41 minutes. And now it's going to be a timer of 29 to 30 minutes. So even that has reduced by approximately 10 minutes. Well, a lot of people would be happy with that, because I've come across thousands of students in the last many years of my training experience. And there are a lot of people who don't enjoy solving the questions in the reading test. So yes, that could be another welcome change in the future. Now, another major change is that there used to be an optional break of 10 minutes after part 2, which means after the reading module finished, there used to be a break of 10 minutes, and now that break has been removed. So it means that speaking, writing, reading, and listening, all the 4 modules will be like a combined capsule module. You will have no breaks in between. So before the test of the start, it's very important that you hydrate yourself, go to the washroom, and just take care of all those things so that you are completely focused on your test for the next 2 hours. Coming to part 3, which is the listening module. Listening is always the last module in the PTE test. Well, that will be now for just 30 to 43 minutes. That's one of the major changes. Earlier, the listening test used to be of a longer duration of approximately 45 to 57 minutes, which has now been reduced to 30 to 43 minutes. So these are the first set of changes, mainly reducing the test questions, the number of questions, and also the total duration of the test time. Well, moving on to the next slide now. Changes in the speaking and the writing module. So still the total number of tasks are same in the speaking test. There are 5 tasks: read aloud, repeat sentence, describe image, retell lecture, and answer short questions. Well, coming to the number of questions for read aloud, even earlier there used to be around 6 to 7 questions. Still there will be approximately 6 to 7 questions, so no changes there. It's a very important task which gives you marks in reading and speaking. Well, task number 2 is repeat sentence. Again, no surprises there. It's a very high scoring task for your speaking and listening score. Even earlier, you used to get approximately 10 to 12 questions. Still the same thing, you get 10 to 12 questions. Coming to task number 3 of describe image, where you are supposed to describe an image for approximately 25 to 30 seconds. Earlier, you could expect around 6 to 7 questions, but now it's going to be just 3 to 4 questions. Well, a lot of people like this task a lot because it's an easy task if you're fluent with your speaking strategies. But, well, it is what it is, and now you'll have approximately 3 to 4 questions. Coming to task number 4, which is retell lecture, which gives you marks for speaking and listening. Earlier, it was very common to have 3 or 4 questions. Well, now you'll have just 1 or 2 questions. Maybe PTE took into consideration the feedback from a lot of test takers, and this was one change they thought they should implement, and yes, they have. Coming to the last task of speaking, which is again called answer short question. Well, again, an integrated task which gives you marks for speaking and listening. Earlier, you used to get 10 to 12 questions. 10 questions was very common. Now you might expect only 5 to 6 questions. That's right. Well, this task does impact the vocabulary score, and yeah, one of the things is that now no longer will you be getting more questions for answer short questions. So that's the speaking part. Now the major changes actually come in writing for task 1. Task 1 in writing is summarize written text. You get a passage, you have to read the passage quickly, and then you have to write an answer. You get a total time of 10 minutes. That is still the same. Earlier, you used to get 2 or 3 questions. Now, you will get either 1 or 2 questions. Remember, this task is also an integrated task. You get marks in reading and writing, but now you'll get only 1 or 2 questions instead of 2 to 3. Coming to task number 2, which is the task called write essay. You get 20 minutes to type an essay of anywhere between 200 to 300 words. Earlier, you used to get 1 or 2 questions. Still, you're going to get 1 minimum or maximum 2 questions and an independent timer of 20 minutes per question. That is still the same. There are no changes. Now, coming to part 1, the combined tasks of speaking and writing modules, the total number of questions used to be approximately anywhere between 39 to 48. The total time used to be somewhere between 63 to 92 minutes. Now, the number of questions will be approximately 28 to 36. And the total time duration will be anywhere between 54 to 67 minutes. That's a reduction of approximately 20 to 30 minutes in part 1. So these are the major changes which come into effect very soon. Let's move on to the next slide, please. Well, changes in reading. Reading is part 2 and starts immediately at the end of the writing section. Well, again, the total number of questions have been reduced. And also, the total time has also gone down. Earlier, you used to get anywhere between 15 to 22 questions. Now, most likely, it's going to be somewhere around 14 to 16 or 14 to 17 questions approximately. The earlier time duration for the reading test used to be somewhere around 32 to 41 minutes. And now, it has been reduced to approximately 29 to 30 minutes. Well, as I told earlier in my video, many people don't like solving a lot of questions in the reading module. Well, I like it personally, but yeah, many students don't. So I think that's great news. And now you won't have to pick your brain and solve all those reading blanks and reorder paragraphs questions. Not as many. Approximately the same. Not many changes, but definitely the multiple choice questions, both multiple choice choose single answer and multiple choice choose multiple answer questions, they will reduce. Maybe earlier you used to get 2 or 3. Now maybe you'll get only 1 or 2. So there is a possibility that you might get only one question for each of the multiple choice tasks. Multiple choice choose single answer and multiple choice choose multiple answers. But approximately for the other tasks, which are reading fill in the blanks, reading and writing fill in the blanks, and reorder paragraphs, there will be approximately a similar number of questions as there used to be. So no major surprises in reading except the reduction of questions in the multiple choice questions. But overall, yes, lesser questions and reduced timings. Now, as I already said, earlier there used to be an optional break after the reading test. Now that break has been removed completely and the listening section will start immediately. So going to the next slide, which will explain those changes. Well, the number of questions used to be approximately 15 to 22 and the tasks were 8. The tasks are still 8. Now the new number of questions would be around 12 to 20. And the total time, which used to be approximately 45 to 57 minutes, has reduced to 30 to 43 minutes. So there again, you see a reduction in time, a reduction in the number of questions. Now the major changes over here, as you can see, on the left column is the current test format, and on the right column with the yellow highlighted segments showing the new changes. For summarized spoken text, which is the first task, there used to be 2 to 3 questions, and now there will be 1 or 2 questions. Remember, you get an independent timer of 10 minutes per question in this task. Well, for multiple choice tasks, I think across the board, PTE has reduced the number of questions. Generally, there used to be 2 to 3 questions for all multiple choice task questions. Now it's going to be 1 or 2. So that's how PTE has reduced the total number of questions. Majorly, the low weight tasks, they are not taking into consideration too many of those questions. They have reduced the number of questions mainly for those tasks. Well, for the main tasks, which give you a lot of marks in the integrated segments, which is your listening fill in the blanks, highlight incorrect words, and write from dictation, which many people, including myself, consider to be one of the most high scoring and the most important tasks in PTE, it is still the same number of questions. For listening fill in the blanks, earlier you could expect 2 to 3 questions, still it is the same. For highlight incorrect words, earlier you could expect 2 to 3 questions, still it is the same. For write from dictation, generally the number of questions would be 3 or 4, still it is the same. And yes, please ignore my spelling mistake in listening. That's a silly mistake. Please ignore that. Now, moving on to the next slide, please. Well, even PT is going to change the way the scorecard looks. For example, earlier there used to be 2 main components. One would be the communicative skills, and below that there will be enabling skills. But from 16th November, this is from when these changes will come into effect. No longer will you be able to see the enabling skills. As you can see on the right hand side on the scorecard, you'll see the skills breakdown, the basic details, the scores at the top, which are the communicative skills, and the test information, which would be the test date, and so on and so forth, the test taker ID as well. So that's one of the major changes now. A lot of people used to get a bit anxious looking at the enabling skills score. Sometimes the enabling skills used to be very low and the communicative skills used to be still decent or high. Sometimes it was the exact opposite case, like the enabling skills used to be very high, but the communicative skills still used to be a bit low. So now analyzing the PT scorecard could be a bit difficult for people who are not very experienced with teaching PT. So that is one change which PT will bring into effect very, very soon. Let's look at the next slide now. When will these changes come into effect? The date is set to be 16th of November 2021. All tests taken prior to that date will still have the same scorecard as it is currently in practice. Now, the million-dollar question, should I be worried about these changes? And the answer is no, not at all. There's nothing to be worried about these changes. Well, it's a very natural process which every test provider takes into consideration a couple of years. There are a lot of audits which go on, and obviously PT, being the organization they are, take into consideration all the feedback they get from thousands and thousands of test takers throughout the world. And I'm pretty happy that they have considered these changes finally. Mainly, it used to be very stressful, sometimes also very exhausting, that in a single day, a test taker has to sit for approximately 2.5 to 3 hours and do so many tasks. Still, the number of tasks would remain the same, but still, it's a great relief as the total time spent and the total focus zone which you need throughout the test has come down significantly. So that's a good step. That's a positive step. In fact, it's a great move and nothing to be worried about, absolutely. Are there any other changes? Yes, there is one major other announcement, and that is that PTE has launched a new PTE Academic online test. And as you can see on my screen, it will allow people to sit remotely for the test from the comfort of their home, which means you don't or you won't need to go to a test center physically. And through a Proctor-enabled software, a Proctor is one of the most popular softwares used in the world to see that people who take the test at an environment which is in home or not in a physical test location, they don't cheat in the test, and it's a very solid foolproof system, and that will be seeing how you take the test at home. And that test, the new PTE Academic Online test, will also be available from 16th of November 2021. The online test takes around 2 hours, as it's mentioned over here, and will follow the exact same format and scoring system as the new shorter PTE Academic test exam. Although, very, very important now to note that the test, although is identical to PTE Academic, it is not currently valid for visa or migration purposes, right? And PTE is very clearly mentioned that we will also ask candidates to check that the universities that they are applying to accept the online version before booking this test. So at the moment, if you're looking for a visa mainly to migrate to countries like Australia or New Zealand, please remember you should not book this exam at the moment. The only test you should book is the PTE Academic test. This test has a different name, PTE Academic Online. Remember, both are a bit different as their purposes are different. Right. Well, last but not the least, who we are. So we are A1 Australia Education Group, one of Australia's topmost PTE, IELTS and NAATI coaching institutes. We have 2 branches in Australia, one in Melbourne, the other in Sydney. My name is Malcolm. I have a PTE score of 90 each, and we have tutors who have 8 each in IELTS. We have NAATI coaching available in 7 major languages, which are Hindi, Punjabi, Malayalam, Telugu, Sinhalese, Spanish, and Gujarati as well. So a lot of languages which can actually help you with getting 5 extra PR points. If you get 8 each in PT or IELTS, you get 20 PR points. And on the other hand, if you are preparing for your Canada PR or a Canada student visa, then definitely you can prepare with the best online coaching classes available worldwide with tutors who have got 8 each in IELTS. That's right. Well, we have trained more than 20,000 students in the last few years, and we are really proud that we have helped them achieve their desired score successfully. We've got a team of 15 tutors who take all these classes on location and online. And just for some extra peace of mind, we have got more than 750 5-star Google reviews and 250 5-star Facebook reviews as well. So that puts in pretty good stead compared to a lot of competitors out there. If you're looking for any types of online classes, any advice, any queries if you have, feel free to contact us soon. You can reach us through WhatsApp. Our number is +61 4664 66603, +61 4664 66609. And you can also leave us an email at info@oneaustraliagroup.com. So once again, guys, good changes coming towards the end of this year, but still, they'll be pretty easy to implement. And I'm sure that you all will get your desired scores in PT, IELTS, and NAATI very soon. I'm Malcolm signing off. Good luck to all of you. Thank you for watching the video. And yes, please do subscribe to our channel in case you haven't already. And also like the video and share it with your friends for their own well-being. Thank you. Have a good day. Thank you.